What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to Grizz 901, your number one Memphis Grizzlies postgame show, and it's not even close. Tonight, we're coming off of a loss. It's a home loss to the Houston Rockets, 119 to 114. So overall, 119 to 115. I apologize, but overall, it was an ugly game. We're going to get into a lot of what we saw in general, because Nate and I and Ryan as well have been talking throughout the entire game of different things that we saw that we liked, that we didn't like, and kind of how the Grizzlies have played and what they're kind of looking at moving forward. But honestly, the trio was back together finally, so we had a lot of guys get back healthy, but it didn't come out into a win. But we're going to do as we always do here at Grizz 901. We're going to break down the game from the very start. So half the show will be a full breakdown of the game. Then we're going to get into your favorite segment, and that is Grizz Trivia. And then we'll get the look ahead with the help of Ryan as we look ahead to the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday. We're going to try some different things. We'll get into all of that. I see the comments are popping. The show is growing. The number looks good. But let's go ahead and do us a favor. If you're here, hit the like button if you don't mind. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Come over to YouTube. All your friends are over there watching it there. But let's go ahead and get to the show. Yo, what up, Nate? We have something else. What do you have?
I don't know. The Grizzlies just gave me this ball. It was before I took my Rockets jersey off, though. So I guess that's why they threw it to me.
Is that because all of the turnovers?
Quit turning the damn ball over. Sorry, earmuffs, children.
Children, it's time to go to bed. You got snow coming. Go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. We'll get rest up for your snow day, because this is not the show for you.
I've threatened that I'm going
ball over, dude.
I've threatened that I'm going to curse and say some things on this show, but we'll get into it. But the comments are already coming in. I can't even see them all. I'm trying to catch up from the very start, but I'll get into as many as I can. But go ahead and keep hitting them up. If you got any questions, do us a favor. Put them in there. And if you want us to make sure that it gets seen, if you have something you want to say, put up a super chat. We'll make sure we put that up on the screen. But off the top rope, Nate, your thoughts on the entire game?
It was fun. It was fun watching a lot of the game. I mean, it's an intense game. It's when you hate to lose. That's makes it fun, though.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Love the way that they kind of fought, and they fixed it. Like defensively, they really started to figure it out. Don't give up 40 in the first. That might be helpful, but figured some things out. Was really good to see them start to do that. But it's too little too late, and it's proven some points that I think we touched on last game, and you kind of leave this game without a doubt thinking about it. So not in a good way.
Yeah, well, it was obviously ugly, and the Grizzlies lose 119 to 115. But when I look at this game, it all just encapsulates from the turnovers. And I get that happens, but and I know people have already talked to me about it. This team looks soft, and I don't know if that is like that to you, but they just look like if you show a little aggressiveness, they kind of shut down a little bit, and that's not exactly what I love out of a Grizzlies team. Now I know that we just got back. Bain is coming back from a 1-game absence. We have other guys, Santi, that just came back. And so I know the chemistry can sometimes be an issue when you get guys back. And I know Ryan has spoken about this many a times, and I've kind of learned over the years, betting wise, but also looking at it from a fan, when you get so many guys back or you get an important player back, a lot of times your team won't play with the same kind of chemistry because it's kind of throwing a wrench into your whole scheme.
It ain't about that. It ain't about that. Dude, you got too many guys that cannot cut it when it matters. We talked about this during the game. The Rockets didn't put a single guy on the court tonight that they couldn't throw out there in the playoffs and do their job. You had a whole ass lineup out there tonight that you can't count on to do that. Yeah. And that's not to say these players are bad. It's not to say these players won't eventually be able to do it. Some of them are young. But, dude, you got guys out there that cannot get the job done. You don't have good enough players you can count on when it matters most. That's just plain and simple. Listen, I hope Greer's in here tonight because he's going to be mad at me. But listen, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about some of the guys, but you got literally a full 5 guys out there that you cannot trust in these moments. Houston doesn't. Oklahoma City doesn't. The Celtics don't. The Cavs don't. You got to make moves or you're not ready.
Yeah. Well, as Skylar says, we are also not ready. We need some grit. Like that's what it comes down to is it's the grit. Like this team doesn't look like it has it. And I know that's close to grit, but there's something missing. And I don't know. And I know I've said this word many times on the show already. I know it could be a chemistry issue when you get guys back, but it just doesn't look like, and I haven't seen it all year. So whether we've had every guy on the court or whether we've had nobody on the court, it just doesn't look like we have something. Something is missing. I don't see it with this team yet. I don't know what it is, but I'm curious. I'm hoping we find it, whatever it is. So 4 fingers. I get it. 4 fingers. Yeah.
I got 4 things that they don't got. I wrote them down because I was like, I want to write them down when I'm clear of mine.
Wait. I want everybody to
mark the date down.
Like everybody stop what you're doing. If you're watching this, stop. 1, this means that Nate prepared for the show. This will be the first time ever. So this is an important date that he's prepared for the show. 2, brought something to it. 3, this is every single show, not made me aware of anything that he's going to do on the show. So Nate, if you don't mind, share us your 4 things. I have my pen and piece of paper ready. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for anybody who thinks we're joking when we say like I just show up and say what's on my mind,
for real. We're
not joking. That is what happens night in and night out. But 1, we just like your dudes are not good enough.
Not good enough.
Yeah, you got players aren't good enough. Here's guys, and let's say you bring Vince and Gigi back. That's assuming those guys are 1, going to be ready to go back to form. 2, that they can show up in playoffs, right? It's a different animal to show up in the playoffs. And those guys are super young. It's not out of pocket to say we don't know if we can trust them there yet. But let's say they come back. That's that risk. Right now, tonight you had to play Scottie Pippen, Jay Huff, Jake LaRavia, Zach Edey, and Jalen Wells. The last 2 we think are going to be there, right? The last 2 we think will get there. But, dude, they're rookies. They're not there. Like, I see people saying Jenkins sucks. Listen, Jenkins overcoached tonight. He contributed to this. But it doesn't matter, dude. You don't have the players to be able to throw in there. Now, should you have a single minute in there without Ja, Jaren, or Bane in a game like that? No. But at the same time, you don't have the players throw in there. All 5 of those guys you could not count on in a playoff game right now. In a heated neck-and-neck playoff game.
Yeah.
That can't happen. You can't play 5 different guys in a game that you can't count on. Best teams don't do that. So that's point number 1.
Okay.
Edey did have a really rough first half. A little bit of a better start to the second half, but then just,
don't worry. Greer's not showing up.
Well, I thought Edey, we try and give credit where credit's due. I don't think you can win with him at center right now, right? Again, it's not saying he can't develop, but right now, he did have a better start to the second half, though.
Yeah.
He made adjustments, which is what you want to see from him. But you can't count on him. And then point number 2, well, let's just throw this as a caveat, an overarching point. It's not going to be one of my 4. Quit turning the damn ball over, first off. And if it's because of the offense, I got news for you, brother. The offense ain't going to cut it, man. So there's point number 5. Sorry. There we go. Quit turning the damn ball over.
We got 5 points now. They're growing.
Quit turning the damn ball over. Actually, that was one of my 4 points. But it's like such a big point, it should be 2. Quit turning the damn ball over. It's disgusting. It happens every game. Hate it. 3, dude. I've seen other people saying this lately, so I know I'm not alone in this. Desmond Bane's got to be better with his decisions. Like, and obviously he is great shot maker. I think he's clutch. He shows up in the clutch. It's nothing like that. But dude, just little things throughout the game are like old Jaren type of fouls. Man, like that foul on Jalen, it's like that happens a ton. Like once every other game, he's got 2 fouls in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You can't make decisions like that. At the end of the game, yeah, it might, Art. Trust me, I'm on one tonight. I might have 17 points by the end of it. I might have 20, one for each turnover. I might have 20 points by the end of the night. But then you got like those possessions at the end of the game where you're sitting there getting close to be able to, like, you're really making a run, and Dez throws it away 2 times in 4 possessions. Like, you can't keep doing that, and he does it a lot. And a lot of times it doesn't show up because they're playing mediocre teams, average teams, and so they win. But these are the kind of games where it costs you.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't keep doing that. And lastly, you just need grown men that are dogs. You don't have that. We're going back and forth tonight, not you and me, but me and Ryan, about whether we think Santi is soft or not. I think Santi's one of the ones that actually shows up for it. I think Santi's one of the ones.
I thought he did tonight too as well.
Santi gets punched in the mouth and he's like, okay. And he activates. Like, I just could not disagree more when someone says Santi's soft. Who else do you have? Listen, Jaren will show up to play. Jaren's not a dog. Not like that. Ja is. Maybe Dez.
Yeah.
Who else? None of your role guys. Allegedly Marcus Smart, but who knows if he'll ever play basketball for this team again.
Right.
Dude, you don't have it. You don't have it, and you have to have it.
Yeah.
You got to have guys that can make the corner shot. Like, we're watching Cavs OKC last night, swing to Max Strus. Max Strus nails that shot. You don't have a role guy that can do that. Does not exist. Maybe Santi.
Well, I'd say Luke. The problem is Luke offers so much that isn't good to winning. Like, I like what Luke does. Luke is the guy that you can have, that you can cover up if you have all the other pieces in place, right? So if he is your 8th, maybe your 9th guy, like a guy that you can interchange depending on what the series is calling for. But if you need a little bit of spacing, you need a little energy, not energy, but a little bit of something different. You do have the floor spacing that Luke can give you. The problem is like he's probably going to be one of the ones that's traded. But 2, he doesn't help you in a lot of the other areas. And so I like him shooting, and he gives you what those other guys that you wish could give you. But the problem is he hurts you so much defensively.
Well, and I mean, listen, allegedly, but he also hit the side of the backboard on a shot tonight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you get that swing, and there's 30 seconds left, and you've got to have it. I mean, you would think you trust Luke in that, but I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know, and like I don't know who you can swing to in that situation that isn't Ja, Jaren, Dez. That I trust there.
Yeah.
Santi's the closest one. It really is. And then I'd say Luke just because he's so good at it. But it's beside the point. It's not just that. It's defensively. And who's going to level it out? You know? Who's going to level it out when they're going, like, you get it to 2 and then they stretch it back to 7? Who's going to say, okay, it stops at 7?
Right.
You don't have that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what you're missing. So your 4 points were just not good enough. What you're saying, turnovers, Baines kind of, for a lack of a better term, piss poor decisions, and then not having grown men. So you could probably lump those into not good enough, as in you need grown men on this team. But I think separating those, it makes sense. But I think there has to be some kind of vet leadership. And I want to ask before we're going to get down the road and probably go all over. This might be our longest show. In a long time, even though the last one somehow went long. I don't know how, but I want to ask you about what this team looks like, because I think there's a lot of questions, and I'm not out on this team. I don't think you're out on this. I don't think a lot of people are out on this team, but the problem is I think we could kind of talk through it. I think this is a night that let's kind of break it all down and let's see if we can have some fun with it. Let's air some stuff out here. So we'll get through all of it, but overall, like, the turnovers can't keep happening. I don't know. Is it? And chat, let me know. Is it the offense? Because I know somebody just brought up earlier. It's not. Brevin Knight talked about it. It's not the pace about all the turnovers. So what is it? like the turnovers haven't been this bad ever. Is it the lack of a point guard? Because when Ja's out there, Ja turns it over just as much. And I have some stuff about Ja. It's probably not going to be what everybody wants to hear, but I have some issues with Ja just from looking at him tonight. I'm not out or anything, but I have some issues. But what's going on with the turnovers? Why? I don't get it.
You are not locked in. You don't. I mean, look at it. It's like when the 2 turnovers Dez at the end of the game, and there's 4 possessions. It's just getting cute.
Yeah.
Like the touch pass. It's like, you didn't have to do that. You don't value the possession.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You don't value the possession. You're playing sort of loosey-goosey. And it's like, man, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Well, and that's why I want to get back to this point that Drew just brought up. Looks like no one knows where other folks are going. And shout out to Drew and Rusty. Tuesday, Thursday. Make sure you check it out. It's live at noon. Not just like, hey, we're going to premiere. We're going to have like a recorded show. No, it's actually live. So you can interact just like we are on this show. Go check out the $2 Sports Show. As Notre Dame just got a interception, maybe, or a fumble. There's 33 seconds to go in the fourth. Looks like it was an interception, so it's going down to the wire. Go check out the $2 Sports Show. They talk about other things other than the Grizzlies, but they also talk about the Grizzlies majority of the time. But go check them out. It's live Tuesdays, Thursdays, right here on Bluff City Media. But looks like nobody knows what other folks are going. Like, that means that there's an issue with the offense, such as, like, if you're zagging and I think you're about to zig, and I don't, like, it's just like it's hesitant. And anytime you have any, hesitancy, like, didn't say that right. Anytime you have that within like an offense or anything that you're trying to do and be on the same page, like, you never feel truly comfortable. And I'm curious if that will just fix itself, or if it's something they have to make adjustments and changes to really get that, I guess, the chemistry, but also get on the same page.
Well, part of it is you do need to also just like run set plays for your guys.
Yeah.
Like this bounce the ball around, everyone gets a touch. We trust everyone offense. You shouldn't trust everyone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's get your best player the ball and then let's go figure out what your best player does and make that happen. Right. And then your options B and C are your other 2 players who are all-star level players. Instead of this bounce the ball around crap. It's dumb. It's dumb to do that, especially when it starts getting into clutch. And you notice they don't do that when they get in the clutch, right? So it's like, okay, why is this what we're going to do all the time? If it's a bench unit, that's what the Grizzlies used to do. You put Tyus Jones, Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson in the game, and you just let them go, right? Because that works really well for your bench guys. But when you have your Ja Morants, Desmond Baines, Jaren Jackson's in there, it's like, no, I think we'll just do what makes them look awesome.
Right.
Which is what they do with Jaren when all those guys are out. It's like, okay, if it works, then why doesn't it work now? But more than anything, dude, they don't lock in. They don't value every possession. And that, with all the other points we were just talking about earlier, it's all a lack of maturity.
Yeah.
It's all immaturity, which the biggest thing you can use in my mind to condemn Taylor Jenkins is that. Hey, Greer. Edie got dominated in the first half, brother. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So, all right. So
also they got murdered last time they played them. So
yeah. So we did talk about that, Greer, earlier about Edie. So you have to go back after the show's over and check it out. But we brought you up. We were wondering if you were coming because Edie did look a little bad tonight, but I think he was fine. I just think he's a rookie. Like, everybody has to give him a break. Like, he's not going to play big minutes. The fact that he's starting is an issue just overall. He should not be starting because he's not ready for it yet. But let's get to let's put a bow on the turnovers. We've been here for 20 plus minutes in it and the show, but the turnovers are the issue. The offense, in my opinion, is the issue. It needs to go back. The offense is fine. The pace is what I've always been asking for. The problem is when it breaks down into a half court, things get a little muddy. And so in my opinion, what I would do is just make some small tweaks to it. It doesn't have to be the European type offense. It can go a little bit less communist, as Drew called it earlier. Let's go ahead and go to and feature our best players, which I think is a pick and roll type offense. Bane benefits from the pick and roll. Ja benefits from the pick and roll, and Jaren would benefit from being the guy in the pick and roll. And so that's what I would do. You allow the other guys to do less with the ball, right? So you actually have the ball in their hands less. Their usage rate would drop a little bit, which would allow them to feel more comfortable. It allowed them to free flow a little bit better and find their spot for their best shot, right? So that's what I would do personally. I'm not saying you have to make all the issues, whatever. But I know a lot of people have talked about Taylor Jenkins. We can get into that. My issue with Taylor Jenkins is there's too many guys playing. There's not a set rotation, in my opinion. There should be a set rotation of an idea of a set rotation, such as we're going to get to the 3-4 minute spot and we're going to make these adjustments. You're going to come out, you're going to come in, unless something weird is happening or if we're on a good run or something crazy outside of foul trouble. The problem is it just seems like there's too much short spurts. Like me, when I played, I know this anybody else that's ever played any other sport, especially basketball, if you are in short spurts, such as a 2-3 minute run, you can't really get into a rhythm. And I think they're missing the rhythm because there's a guy coming in every 3 minutes, which the issue is nobody's ever in rhythm because it's different lines. So I like 2 guys at a time. That's me because it keeps some familiarity with everything. So anyway, enough about that. Let me get to Ja Morant. And I think I'm probably going to be on the opposite side of a lot of people. But Ja, I love the dude. I think he is a really good player. Tonight, what did he have? He had 27 points. Did you expect that he had 27 points tonight?
I was paying attention, but yeah.
I paid attention without looking at his numbers because I didn't play his number, personal betting reasons. I played Jaren's, who had 21 points, which pissed me off. He stuck on 21 points and ended with 21 points. but Ja tonight, it looks like he is, as Drew's saying, he just relies too many on vibes. Like he wants to feel the game and just kind of comes to him. But my problem is there's no like ownership of the offense. There's no he gets to the front of the rim and it's always the scoop, right? And I'm okay with that. But there has to be a point where, and I'm going to compare him, and I know that a lot of people are going to be pissed off at this, but SGA can do that. But what does SGA do the better of? He can stop and pop. And even then, he'll get down and do the little back step and a fadeaway right at the free throw line. That's where he lives. SGA is not a three-point shooter. Neither is Ja Morant. Why can't Ja develop that part of his game? I know, like, he can get to the front of the rim. I know he does the scoop shot, but why can't he do it? That's really what upsets me. And I don't think he's developing, honestly, into being a superstar player. I think he's awesome. But I don't know if he's that limited. I think the Grizzlies will always be that limited.
Yes and no. Yes, that he doesn't do that and he hasn't developed that enough. He has developed it though, by the way. Like he has gotten better at that throughout his career. But yeah, he is not making the shots that a guy like SGA is making. It's nothing else to say about that. I don't agree that he doesn't take ownership and he always lets the game come to him. He does it a lot, but that is just like in regular season games. And he's clearly preserving his body, which as a Grizz fan, we should be happy about.
Yeah.
He did not let the game come to him tonight. He decided from the get-go, I'm going. I mean, he had like 11 first quarter points. He was attacking from the onset. I think Ja is going to be fine with that when it comes time for it to matter. Because in games like this, Boston, he's like, okay, I'm going to take it to him. He takes control. And he can take control. So I disagree with you on that. If you want to say, hey, like his game doesn't have the dimensions that someone like SGA does, yeah, I mean, he can't make those shots, right?
Right.
That's not as consistently, right? I do think he's developed it, but he hadn't gotten to that level yet. But I don't think it's fair to say, hey, he doesn't take control of the game or anything like that. Notre Dame just made a field goal to go ahead
I
with
see
7 seconds
that.
left, by the
Notre
way.
Dame, yeah, Notre Dame is going to win. They're at 7 seconds. They hit a big field goal. It's 27-24.
Throwing a pick with like 40 seconds left on the wrong side of the field will do that.
Hey, and this is good from Lauren. I think a game, we're a terrible matchup. Well, I'll say the opposite. Houston's a terrible matchup for the Grizzlies. If you see the way their style of defense is, they make you go one-on-one, which why Ja is great. And that's why I thought Jaren would be great tonight at it, is because they make you go one-on-one. Like they don't leave the extra wide open shooter like we do. We do overhelp. And so I think it is a game that exposes a lot of your weaknesses and can be better off for it.
Yes, 100%. 100% agree on that. I want to go back to the Ja thing for a second, though. Dude, you don't have the threats. You don't have the threats. There is nobody that plays above the rim left. Brandon doesn't play above the rim anymore.
No.
You want to go back to another one? Hey, Ryan, Santi's the closest thing we got to somebody who plays above the rim.
Hold on. I think Brandon Clark just fouled again.
Brandon had a rough night. They should listen. This team needs to get the fundamentals, take care of the ball, and box out. Let's practice that all the time. But you don't have the threats that you need. That's why when you're sitting there and you're saying, like, hey, who are you going to go get? Listen, Jimmy Butler's an awesome basketball player, no doubt about it. He can help any team. He's also a guy who is built for it and go get you a bucket. That's what I'm saying. Hey, why not go get someone like a John Collins? John Collins can make that shot for you on the corner. He also is going to go up and play above the rim. And he's going to go and he's going to get dirty. He's going to get the rebounds. That's what you need. It's threats and it's guys who are going to dig in and play hard defense. You don't have either. So when you get to the end of the game and John Morant sitting there is like, okay, he's going to go to the bucket. What are you going to do? You don't have Steven Adams down there anymore to clean up. You got Zach Edey, who, listen, Bismack Biyombo and Zach Edey should have a hands off because like they're catching the same. I'm not trying to be a hater, but listen, it is what it is. Can't catch the ball. That's kind of important if you're a 7-foot monster and what we need you to do is go in there and get rebounds.
Yeah.
You need grown men. They got to be dogs, and you don't have that. And it affects guys like Ja because you don't have the threats and you don't have the guys around you. Too many non-threats.
So what changes? Let's move into that because I don't know what else we can talk about the game just in general. Like the chat's all over the place, which shout out to you guys and girls. I needed this tonight, not gonna lie. So I appreciate this chat. This has been a awesome performance. We'll call it a performance, but an awesome night out of you guys on here. But this is a Grizz 901 post-game show. We are Grizz 901 live after every weekday game. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. And hit the like button while you're here. If you're watching over on Twitter, we appreciate you as well. But we'd appreciate you more if you came over and joined us. If you're seeing the comments up on the screen, that's from our YouTube friends. And so we want to make sure that we let you join in over there. You can go to Bluff City Media and hit the live, and we're there. But yeah, Wayno, the chat is the real MVP. We're going to keep on going with this completely. I think this is going to be a night that we hold off the look ahead to the very, very end. But let's not completely pivot to Grizz Trivia just yet. I want to get there in a few minutes because it does tie into all of this tonight. And I think the chat would appreciate this Grizz Trivia. And they probably actually have the answers. But I'm just curious what they do because tonight I saw a lot of guys that just kind of shrunk. And that's been the issue with the Grizzlies all season. Like when you look at the standings just in general, I know we've talked about this before, but we're 15-5 at home. Okay. 9-9 on the road. You're 3-3 in the division. What are you in the conference again? Do you have an idea? In the West.
I don't remember. Bad.
11-11. And if you actually break it down further, it's about teams above 500. We have a losing record. Like that's the issue is you can beat up on the bad teams. And I've always said I'm not worried about the regular season, but like you literally have so many issues that you get exploited when you play really good teams. And I think these are the games that really help you as a coach, as a front office. But I'm just curious what you do. There's so many people in the chat talking about where you go to get players. A lot of John Collins, Goon the Shooters, he's playing his flag. John Collins is way too small. But I think that there is different places you could go to get people. And so I'm curious where they go to find a good player and who they actually consolidate with. But my question to you right now, if you had to pick 8 guys to put into the playoffs as currently constructed, shout out to you, Rosie, but as currently constructed with these Grizzlies, who would you have in the top 8?
Well, I'm just going to take a bottle of Redbreast to the head. I'm good. I'm kidding. Sorry. Jokes. Just jokes. Ja, Jaren, Dez, Santi.
Brandon. So Ja, Jaren, Dez. I think everybody's understood on that.
I said Santi.
Shout out to you, Keith. We'll get to that one second.
I mean, Smart. Somebody who's been in the playoffs. After that, that's what, 6?
Yeah.
Ja, Jaren, Dez, Santi, Smart. No, that's only 5.
Yeah, sorry, 5. You know, and this isn't fair because we don't know what Vince and Gigi look like. I know we think that they look like. We don't really know what they look like just yet. So
I'm taking Vince for the psycho. The psycho alone is enough for me to throw him in there.
So Vince and Gigi?
Vince would be 6, right?
Yeah.
Gigi would be 7.
Yeah.
Gigi, Brandon.
So you take BC and definitely, and that, honestly, looking at that, you have no size. You're too small.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have the size.
So just looking at that, just overall, one, that's way too small to be doing. So there has to be ways that they figure out a way to get better. But I think it's a good way because you're going to go to 8, maybe 9 into the playoffs. Most of the time, you probably end up around 8. I hope it's not 10, and I hope it better not be 11. But
sorry. Got a text from my buddy that said death, taxes, and James Franklin.
All right, so let's go to this. Keith, shout out to you, man. A super chat, but he wants to know: do you think the front office needs to give Jenkins a time limit? I've just seen a lot of excuses each season, youth, injuries, etc. So go ahead and hit on that first because one, shout out to you, Keith. Thank you. Like I said, if you want to get to the front of the line, 100%, we'll always get to these, no matter what they say. I promise you, we'll get to them and answer them. But what do you think?
It's all about the playoffs. Okay. If they flame out in the playoffs, if Jenkins isn't gone, his seat is like cast iron hot. Like you can't flame out in the playoffs and your team be healthy, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, if they're unhealthy, it's a whole nother discussion. But if they're healthy, yeah, you've got to be second round team. As currently constructed, I don't think you're better than a second round team. Being honest, unless Vince and Gigi come back and like they're the revelation and they have developed the way that we were hoping they would over the offseason. But that's really hard to do when you miss half the season, So yeah, that matters because you haven't seen growth. It's the same thing. You go in tonight and we're looking and listen, God, the devil, and everyone is looking and saying, Ja, Jaren, and Dez are all out as the game is close to 3 or 4 points and we're closing a quarter. And next thing you know, it's 9 or 10 to end the quarter. It was on its way to 11 or 12, by the way. They got lucky. Yeah. Like, that kind of stuff keeps happening. You're overcoaching in those situations. You still have a team that lacks maturity and discipline and makes poor decisions and doesn't care about possessions. That's a reflection on coaching. right? I mean, listen, these guys are still young. Like, to be clear, they're not 26, 27 even, right? Which is not old, but
Yeah.
that's more prime what you'd consider. But still, I mean, these guys have been around for a long time and don't value possessions. Jaren's the only one that seems to show like real maturity and growth.
Which is shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Well, Jaren's always been pretty emotionally mature.
Basketball IQ. I've always been on him about his basketball IQ. He looks like the adult in the room now. Like his basketball IQ has just grown exponentially. And so, yeah, I'm curious why that took the growth. You know, maybe that's just life. But all right, so let me take the other side to it. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. I want to talk through it because I think this is perfect, Keith. So the Grizzlies have made the playoffs when semi-healthy for majority of the season through the regular season. I think Taylor Jenkins is a good regular season coach. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to get on the same page and kind of talk through it and break it down completely. Last year, the Grizzlies had issues last year. They had injuries last year. You're not making the playoffs like that, right? So now we get to this season. This season, I think they finish in the top 5. Yes or no?
Yes. That'd be shocking if they didn't.
Okay, so let's get to maybe top 4 more than likely, and you get a first-round home playoff series. At this point, it's all about the playoffs and how are you coaching in the playoffs. And so to your point, and to Keith's question, I think there's a time limit of what does the playoffs look like this year and what can you bring in to a trade deadline? How can you maneuver and manipulate this team as long as everybody stays healthy? How can you manipulate it? Can you manipulate it to the style that your coach wants? If you can do that and you don't make it out of the first round, I think you get fired for sure. Yes or no?
Normally, I'd say yes, but the way this organization is operated, it's a.
What would you do? I don't worry about the organization. What would you do?
Probably.
I would do it. If you don't get out of the first round with a top 5 team, no matter who you play, I don't care about the matchup. You don't get out of the top 5. When you were giving what you needed to have and you felt like as a coach, there were no issues. You felt like you got what you got and it was what you needed to, I guess, be the better team. I think that you have to be let go because of that. So, yes, I agree. The biggest thing that I saw, Nate, or that you said, and I wrote this down, maturity and discipline. I have been a guy who rode for Taylor Jenkins. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's gotten better this year. 100% I think he has. I also think he can help develop guys to kind of raise your floor a little bit. I don't think there's a ceiling raiser, and I don't know if that's got to come from one of his big 3 stepping up or if it has to be a move they make. But I think he's a floor raiser, which is good. Maturity and discipline. That is the biggest thing. I don't think we've ever had that. Not since John Morant has been on this team. I don't think we've had a maturity or a discipline look on this team at all.
Nope. And a lot of that comes from the players, right? Like players have to step up and decide they want to be that too. But it's oftentimes a reflection of coaching. Look at the Rockets, man. You know what that team was doing a year, 2 years ago?
God.
And look what Ime Udoka has done with that roster. Yeah, I mean that's real. That's a real effect. So, and I want to be really, really clear. I think people throw around like fire this dude. Like these are men with families that you're talking about taking their job away. We shouldn't be so willy-nilly with that. Now, this is the nature of this league, right? Like it is a perform or like listen, man, there's a high level and a standard when you have players like John Morant and Jaren Jackson, right? So it's not an unfair conversation, but I think people take it way too lightly. So that's when I say, like, yeah, I'd probably pull the trigger. I'm also putting myself in the shoes of, like, hey, you got to tell a guy you're taking his job and his livelihood away. You've also made a lot of money as you've been the coach. So it's a little less of a sting than some of us losing their jobs. I want to keep on this with Keith. I do want to point out one thing from this team still needs more, but no reason to be so negative. This isn't negativity.
No.
Honestly, if you think this is negativity, I'm sorry, but you got to put on some different glasses. This is being really honest about where this team is. Here's
Okay.
where I think both, correct me if I'm wrong, you and me both are. This team is going to win a lot of games in the regular season.
Yep.
They're going to finish as a top 4 seed, most likely top 3 or even 2. They're going to have a ton of good moments. It's going to be a lot of fun moments, but we don't think they can contend for a conference finals or a championship.
Yeah.
And that is a problem.
Yeah.
And I've seen people, and listen, these people are out there. If y'all don't think they exist, I promise you they do. They're like, listen, you're Memphis. Just going to like having a chance at the conference finals is enough. All right, go ahead and stay down in your shack and your shanties. Go back to your shanties, as Shooter McGavin would say. No, man. Like, if you don't want to win at all, then you don't have the right mentality. And negativity is saying, hey, I hate this guy, Jiren sucks, Josh sucks, which is not what you're going to hear us come on here and say. The reality is, okay, you critique something because you love it and you want it to be the best version it can be.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're not Taylor haters. We're not Jaren haters. We're not even Jake haters anymore.
No.
We just want to see this team be the best it can be. And quite frankly, right now, Art's right.
Yeah.
Their emotions are on a string and they don't have guys that can step up when it matters. That's a problem.
Shit, my emotions are on a string. What are we doing here? But I do get a shout out to our guy or my guy, Chris Bassett. Man, look at you, C Bass. He had a pick on the show today. It was the Grizzlies team total. So shout out to you, C Bass.
Coming back to Utah, I don't even have that to look forward to.
Yeah, check out Driving the Line. It's on every weekday at 9 a.m. Central. But go check it out. So,
as someone who is not involved with it at all, you are losing money if you don't. I promise you, I rode with those guys the entire time I was back in Tennessee, and I left a happy camper.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do. Made a lot of money tonight. I will say, I took the Grizzlies, the first quarter over, the first half over, and I would have been even happier if Jeremy would have scored another point. Hey, but Seabass, Chris Bassett has Bassett's Blends.
Seabass.
I asked him to do an effing commercial. Seabass, this is your reminder. Do it. I will put the commercial here in front of one of our segments. I've already told you. If you don't know, Seabass has been on Desperate Housewives of Pontotoc or whatever it is. Anyway, his wife is more famous than he is. But Seabass is a chef. And the Bassett Blends, honestly, I love them. So maybe if we get enough commercials, Seabass will send me a free something free he's got coming up. But anyway, go check it out.
I got one last thing before we get back on the rails.
Yep.
Astronomo, I just want you to know you are seen and you are loved here tonight. This is the place to crash out.
Spiraling.
Just saying, like, let's get it all out while we're here, brother, because this is a crash out type of place. I've seen you in here. I don't agree with you necessarily, but just get it all out, brother. Listen, you are welcome here, even if we don't agree. Just want to make sure I got that out there.
No doubt. All right, let's take a pivot. Let's go ahead and hit Grizz Trivia while everybody's kind of still here hanging out. The Grizzlies do lose 119-115 to the Houston Rockets tonight, but as you all know, our favorite segment, your favorite segment, we got Grizz Trivia. All right, Nate, we tried to spice it up a little bit, give you a little bit of graphics. So, Nate, we got the question coming to you. The Memphis Grizzlies, they now played 38 games into this 2025 season. How many games had the trio of John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane all played together out of those 38?
Oh, no.
You sound so sad just trying to answer this.
No, it's not trying to answer it. It's sad knowing the direction this question heads into. That's what's sad about it.
Austin says 3.
I mean,
4.
That's closer than other answers that are possible. They played together.
It's sad. It literally is sad that we have people staying single digits. Like, it's that sad. That's how bad it is.
I mean, it could be. I'm trying to think about it because I know Dez missed so many. Josh missed 16, I think. So let's say 16. You're automatically at 22.
Astronomo is like crashing out. I love it.
I'm going to say
trying
11.
to trade Bane to
I'm saying 11.
11.
Saying 11.
All right. Is that your final answer?
Yeah, 11.
All right. The answer is 14. They have now played a combined 14 games the entire season. So 14 out of that 38. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. So I do have a little some more in depth. So up to the game last night. So this was the 14th game. Do you have an idea on that record? So there's obviously 13. You would know the record too, right? So 1, add that. So do you know what the record might be to completely 14?
Well, I know there was something in at least one.
Yeah, you got at least one.
I think that they are. I think it's actually like really, really good. Is it 11-3?
No, but it's 9-5, which isn't bad.
Gave him too much credit.
Yeah, 9-5. So decent overall out of them. I think that them not playing together has been the biggest issue just overall within all of this. But I think that moving forward, I think that them playing together is going to be good. But it's going to start with Minnesota on Saturday, and I'm curious what that looks like after that. But I hope that we get something. I thought we get them on the court more than they should be.
We don't see Grizz Company Man in here very much. And whenever he is, it's off the top rope. Shout out. It's good to see you again in here, man.
Dude, Grizz Company Man. I just started seeing his tweets come through my timeline, and I have not seen him just because I muted so many people. You were not one, Grizz Company Man, but I have not seen you in here. So get in here more often. Stay out of those spaces.
Blue check algorithm killed the timeline.
Yeah. All right. Joseph Mitchell said he had a Grizzlies watch party tonight in Nashville. How was it? I'd love to know. I want to go up there at some point.
I bet there were some words.
All right, let's.
In my house.
Looks like we're hitting looks like we're spiraling out at this point as well. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more if we need to, but let's go ahead and look at the look ahead as we look to Minnesota on Saturday.
Let's look ahead to Saturday night's matchup for the Memphis Grizzlies against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look, this is not the same Minnesota Timberwolves that we remember fondly last year. Vastly different going from Karl Anthony Towns to Julius Randle. The one thing that this Minnesota Timberwolves team is going to do and do a lot is shoot threes. They are one of the highest in volumes in the NBA. The odd thing about that is usually there's a correlation to offensive efficiency when you shoot more threes, but that is just not evident with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team still trying to find its identity. It's always back and forth for them. They're either awesome or they're extremely mediocre or they're just flat out bad. But the three-point variance for a Grizzlies team who struggles defending the three-point line at points, this could be a nice blowout win from the Grizzlies, unexpected blowout win, or it could be a blowout win on the opposite side for the Timberwolves if they're knocking down those threes. Look, we know Anthony Edwards is the guy, averaging about 25 points per game. The big thing for Ant this year, he's averaging 10 three-point attempts per game. So he's kind of gone the Ja route where Ja said he wasn't going to dunk. Ant has publicly claimed he's not going to the basket as hard to try to dunk anymore, and he's shooting more threes. So if you control Ant, you have a good shot at beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. If Anthony Edwards gets loose on you, it could be a tough outing on Saturday for the Memphis Grizzlies. So let's see if the team defense and the overall strategy that the Grizzlies usually employ of overhelping helps them with Anthony Edwards and pulls out a nice victory for the Grizzlies on Saturday.
All right, so the look ahead is brought to you by Ryan Meadows. He always helps us do that, and so I appreciate Ryan for doing those. But it is he used that overhelp defense, and what I hate the overhelp defense. I don't understand it. I know this is style of play, but I'm curious how they play because we'll have Edie against Gobert, right? So that should help because I hate Gobert, but he's slow just as Edie is, so there'll be a battle there for sure. It'll be nasty. But Greer Gentry, he's back. That should be a game that Edie gets to play in for sure. So, any thoughts on Minnesota?
Minnesota! I don't know, man. They had such a good thing going and then just threw it away for no reason at all. I do not understand it. Exactly, Drew. Exactly. Randall and DiVincenzo, you gave up Cat.
Dude, they're idiots.
People are still gluing themselves to the floor. Dude, yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, man. I love it because there's a chance that Ant decides he wants to go play with John Morant or something. I'm all about the moves they're making. But the totally in with Ryan. Like you watch them, and I feel like more often than not, it's not good. More often than not, it's not good for them. I've watched them quite a few times this season, and more often than not, I'm like, it doesn't look like they have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
No, they're very lost out there. But then I've seen them a couple of times where I'm like, yeah, like they're popping off now. You know, they can go off at any time. But I think it's a mess. It's a must win for Memphis. It needs to be a get right game, in my opinion.
A must win.
Yeah, I think despite what a lot of people out there want to tell you, people who have never actually played sports for the most part. The regular season matters, and the habits you build in the regular season matter. Okay. And a loss like tonight, where you played to a level where you should have gotten stomped. If the Rockets shot better than 50% from the free throw line, you would have gotten stomped. And then never found a way to pull it around. You need to turn around and say, "Hey, this is not who we are."
Yeah.
Like you gotta have a moment. You have to have a moment where we say, "This is who we are. We're going to quit turning the damn ball over. And we're going to lock in, and we're going to grow up." And at some point, it's got to happen. Feels like it needs to be a game like this.
Yeah. Well, Lauren agrees with you, but what will actually happen, we have no clue. But Drew thinks that Glenn Taylor, which is the former owner, or I guess he's still kind of the owner. We're not sure what's going on.
Right.
But he should have signed everybody to max deals and then just handed over the keys. That's kind of what Boston did. I don't know if anybody realized that. They literally paid everybody and then just said, "All right, we're selling," which is funny. But I want to do this because Astronomo, dude, this is I literally could not keep in the laughter. Just the whole thing of I feel so bad for Job, Bane, Edie, and Marcus Smart, all trash. It's just the crash out continues, dude. You've been spiraling.
The endurance is impressive.
I love it. You need a drink. I need a drink just for that. But my God, that's
the
amazing.
endurance is impressive.
Very impressive. But I think that's all for the show we got tonight. I know that we talked about going a little bit longer, but honestly, I think we kind of hit a wall talking about the team so much. But tonight was fun, man. Tonight was it was a fun game, but it just felt frustrating the whole time. It just felt like they just kept running in mud, and that's what it was. I don't know. It just nothing felt right. No matter how good they looked, it just felt like they were all just kind of like not getting back into the game. It just felt like there was at any moment the Rockets would run away, or they just felt like they were more in control. And I'm curious if that was because of Sengun, because Sengun looked like he was controlling the game. Whenever they needed a shot, they would go to him. And then one of their guys, which they Fred VanVleet, 22 points, 3 3-pointers. Green, 27 points, 4 3-pointers. Sengun, 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, it's just it was a good night out of them compared to our 3. I think they outplayed us just overall in that. So when you have too many turnovers and you get outplayed by another team's 3, it's a bad recipe. You're probably going to lose.
Well, and the Grizz controlled the second half for the most part. The first quarter really did them in. The first quarter was just terrible. First half was not good for them, but they controlled, I thought, from there on out, played really well. They buried themselves in the first quarter and shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Every time they had a chance. Also, shout out to the officials, 71 free throws in 48 minutes. Sorry. I saw that at the very beginning of the show and I haven't got it in yet. I wasn't going to not get it in. That's what people came to see. 71 free throws in 48 minutes.
Yeah, and as Jackson is saying right here, they have men and we don't. And I don't know if they have men.
Yes.
Maybe Adams,
Dylan.
Okay, you know what? Age doesn't make you a man. So let me just say, they have guys that have a little bit more grit. They're probably the same age as our guys. They might be younger.
Yeah, that's fine. Fred VanVleet. Shit, Tari Eason.
Fred VanVleet did nothing in that game. Personally.
He just hit dagger threes towards the end of the game. I guess that's all he did. What are we talking about? Adams, Dylan, Fred VanVleet, Tari Eason. Screw it. Aaron Holiday even. I don't like. They don't throw anyone out there who sucks. Grizz got too many guys who can't cut it. Sorry. Guys who I like to watch play. Guys who I'm happy for, they have NBA contracts. Yeah. Sorry. You can't cut it when I'm
no, I agree. And as Lauren's saying here, age means nothing, honestly. It is the mentality. It's the dog in you. Do you have it? Do you have that grit? And Drew was saying that maybe it left when Dylan left. I don't know. But listen, in the end of the night, we all know that Edie scored every time he got the ball tonight.
That's not true.
That is not true. Greer, we love you, but you're holding on. You and Goon, man. You and Goon. Shout out to you all. We're crashing out with Astronomo tonight. I love it. He's still crashing. Bro, listen, you can have this chat. We'll let it keep going after we close the show just to make sure that you have your chance to continue this spiral. But that's gonna be it for us. I don't know what the snow holds. So I don't know that what it's gonna look like, but there supposedly is a there is a lot of snow, a lot of moisture coming down here from the north. The polar vortex is coming. So be safe. And if you have kids or if you're young enough, go out and have some fun. Yeah, Art is over in Brazil, right? I think it's Brazil. Art's over there, almost 2 a.m. there. So shout out to you for hanging out with us for sure. But yeah, so Laura says, sorry for the communal breakdown. Go Grizz.
That's what we're here for.
For sure. Yeah, and Drew's he's works for a power company. So yeah, shout out to you. You're gonna be busy the next this weekend, I would assume. So but either way, make sure you're smart, don't do stupid stuff. I've had bad things happen to friends when I was younger in snow. So please don't do stupid things. Do not ride on the back of a four-wheeler on a sled pulled from a rope, because a whipping action happens when you go around corners and there are fire hydrants. And if you hit your head on a fire hydrant, you don't come back to life. That's the truth. I've lost a friend like that. So don't do that. That's stupid.
Seriously.
But everything else, have fun. Enjoy the snow with your kids. Enjoy whatever it is. But make sure you're not out there doing dumb things. But all in all, the Grizz do lose 119 to 115. We're gonna try to maybe do something on the weekends if we can. We're trying to work on it. I don't know if it'll happen this weekend, but I've been talking to Ryan and some other guys, and we might try to do something that's much shorter version of a post game. I don't know my schedule on everything, and we don't want to say, hey, we definitely are, but we're gonna try to see if we can do something on the weekends here and there, and see if we can find some consistency to the shows. That way, as we get closer down to the end of the season, we have a good flow going with everybody. But tonight was great. Thank you all for hanging out with us. This is Grizz 901. I'm Daniel. That's Nate. And we'll be here every weekday, 100% throughout the year. But that'll do it for the show. Make sure you tell your friends that Bluff City Media has a Memphis Grizzlies postgame show. I know you probably won't see it anywhere else but here. But if you tell your friend, it'll help us out. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you all next time. Be nice and tell your friends.